With the 2022 NFL Draft in the books, I can say something that I have not been able to say in my lifetime. The New York Jets have won the draft.
No huddle, Wilson end zone, caught, touchdown, Elijah Moore.
What is going on, guys? My name is Tigo. This is Talking Jets with Tigo, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel. And I'm trying to build something here where we can talk Jets and talk NFL and with a lot of good things in the future. Let's get as many Jets fans and as many people as we can in here excited to talk about what hopefully is going to be the best sports franchise in New York real soon. Today's video, I wanted to go over the entire 2022 NFL Draft from the Jets' perspective, what I think about these picks, the moves that were made, and how we've set up things for the future and everything like that. Before we get in on that, I wanted to say a few thank yous to a couple of people out there. If you guys are watching NFL Chaos with Jeremy, I just wanted to take a second and say thank you so much for, all of the kind words that you've said about me and my channel. I truly do appreciate it, and I hope to live up to the excitement and the hype that you kind of gave me earlier in your stream today. And Buffalo Jet Fan is another one of those guys that really inspired me to start this channel, and I really wouldn't have this channel if it wasn't for creators like those guys, and I wouldn't have the growth that I'm seeing if it wasn't for those two guys in particular. So I did want to say a quick thank you to both of those guys. I really appreciate you guys, and thank you so much for being a part of this channel and being a part of my growth on YouTube. So let's hop right into it. I want to go pick for pick, my reactions for those picks, what I think of the picks, and we're just going to go all 7 guys that we took this draft, and we're going to talk about it and the trades and the things that were made here. So as we all know, the first pick that we made in the draft was at number 4 overall, and we took Ahmad Sauce Gardner, cornerback out of Cincinnati. And when we made this pick, I wasn't a fan of it. And it wasn't because I didn't like Sauce. I actually really liked Sauce. Sauce was my number 2 player on my big board. And getting him at 4 was great value. Number 1, if you're curious, was Ike Ekwonu. And I didn't want us to take Ike at 4, let me say that. But that being said, he was the best player available on my board at 4. But I thought that edge was a bigger need, and of the edges, my rankings went Aiden Hutchinson as my number 1 edge and Jermaine Johnson as my number 2 edge. And with Aiden Hutchinson going to Detroit, I really wanted the number 4 pick to be Jermaine Johnson II, the edge out of Florida State. We had been told by the media and by just our own evaluations of Robert Saleh in the past and what he did in San Francisco and in those defenses that corner wasn't a really big priority for those defenses. Well, boy, were we wrong. Not only did they go out and address the cornerback position with a premium asset, it was the first thing that they did. And I believe Robert Saleh when we see that call and he said, Sauce, you were always the pick. And so I believed that, and I think the only concern that we had was Houston possibly taking Sauce at 3. I think we all know what 1 and 2, how that was going to play out. But now that we've seen how the draft has played out, Sauce Gardner might be my favorite pick in this draft. He's actually, I think, my second favorite pick in this draft because of I love what he brings. If you just look at him when he plays, he looks awkward because people shouldn't be that long. He's just so, have you seen his limbs? You shouldn't be allowed to be that long. And in the scheme that we play and in how much, zone over the top, but man underneath, concepts and things that we run, and on third downs, it's just going to be huge to be able to tell a corner to say, hey, you see that guy? I don't want that guy anywhere near the ball. And Sauce is going to be able to do that. And come on, we got Sauce in the Big Apple. We got the applesauce. It's just gonna be great. I can't wait until we watch the games live. I'm in Florida, so I can't really go to the games, but I can't wait to see those games at MetLife and like Sauce gets an interception and the whole arena just goes Sauce, like it's just gonna be a good time. But yeah, so I loved this pick as the draft went on. At the time, I was like, okay, when we made this pick, we're going to have to give up on either the wide receiver or the edge because we only get one more pick at 10. And unless we can convince somebody to come up and massively overpay and give us 2 first-round picks to get those guys, I don't think we're going to get the premium elite talents because by that time, you know, the first tier of wide receiver for me is going to be gone because in that first tier, I only had 3 wide receivers and pick 10 came and we didn't trade out and I saw that the pick was in and I wanted that pick again to be an edge. I was kind of convinced by Green Bean and some other people out there that we might be able to get one of the wide receivers in the second round, that there wouldn't be a run on wide receivers because we were told by all the media pundits and by everybody that like this class is really deep at wide receiver. So that means teams wouldn't go wide receiver early because they knew that they could get somebody late. Boy, were we wrong, and I'm glad that I'm not the general manager of the New York Jets because Joe Douglas did something crazy. And he just took Garrett Wilson at 10. He sat down and took my number 2 rated wide receiver because I really liked Drake London. But I liked Drake London not because I think he's better than Garrett Wilson. I took Drake London because I just wanted diversity in the wide receiver room. Garrett Wilson, I think, is the better wide receiver when you look at our scheme and what can happen. But I just thought with Corey Davis and Elijah Moore, Drake London would bring something different. That being said, Garrett Wilson was probably the best wide receiver in that class, and we took him. So at picks 1 and at picks 10, we walked away with the best wide receiver and the best corner in the draft at their positional rankings, for me at least. And so I thought this is awesome. I do like some of the later edges. We'll be able to walk away with an Arnold Ebiketie, with a Boye Mafe, with a Nick Benito, with there's a couple of guys that we can look at in the second round and we can address the edge there. And you guys all saw draft day. The draft went and the draft went and Jermaine Johnson didn't get picked and Jermaine Johnson didn't get picked and Jermaine Johnson didn't get picked. And I made a video about this detailing the trade and the news around it, but Joe Douglas got on the phone from pick 15 and called every single team trying to trade back up into the first round to get Jermaine Johnson. And inevitably, the Tennessee Titans said, yep, we're good. We'll take this package. And we traded out with the Tennessee Titans. And at 26, unbelievable, at 26, we were able to walk away with Jermaine Johnson II, the edge out of Florida State. And we walk away in the first round on day 1 of the draft with the number 1 ranked corner, the number 1 ranked wide receiver, and on my board, the number 2 ranked edge rusher in this class at 4, 10, and 26. That is just crazy, crazy, crazy value. We did give up some things to go, but like a thing that I think is a masterclass here from Jermaine Johnson is that, from Joe Douglas is that with none of the moves that we made, we did 2 trades in this draft. We moved up to get Jermaine Johnson, and we moved up to get our next guy in Breece Hall, and I'll talk about him in a second. We moved up to get both of those guys, and not once did we give up a single future asset. We didn't give up anything for next year's draft, which I think goes to show what a lot of these people think about next year's draft class. When we look at the day 1s of trades, this is a really, really cool stat. All of the people that made trades and made moves, nobody traded any future assets. All of the trades that were made were for either players or draft capital in this draft, which I think speaks volumes to next year's class and what the Jets and the NFL in general think of next year's class. But let's move on to day 2 of the draft. And going into day 2, I think a lot of people in Jets fandom were kind of split 50-50. Some of us wanted to go and get the best running back in the class in Breece Hall. I think some of others of us wanted us to go out and get like a safety or a linebacker, really address that position in the draft. And lo and behold, the Breece Hall fans won out. And not only did they win out, Joe Douglas liked Breece Hall so much that in the late back half of the first round, they were trying to trade up into the first round to get him. And they decided that the best opportunity for them was to jump in front of Houston, because I thought about this 100%. I think Houston was going to take Breece Hall no matter what. And we jumped in front of Houston to go get our running back and Breece Hall out of Iowa State. And I think that this is a great, great pick the more I think about it. At the time, I wasn't necessarily a fan of it. But the more I think about it and the more I look at how running backs are getting used and how every couple of years you need to be drafting a new running back, I really, really like Michael Carter. He is and was, like, I think my second favorite player on that Jets team last year. Only behind Elijah Moore. I loved Elijah Moore and what he brought. And Michael Carter was a bright spot on that offense and in that backfield. But Michael Carter also missed time due to injury. And we saw that we were really, really not that deep at running back. Tevin Coleman was fine, and Ty Johnson was fine. And I think it was, I don't remember his name. Austin Walter was okay when he came in. Like, he was a passable replacement, but we definitely needed to bring somebody in. And I was in the mindset of bringing people in like that third or the fourth round, like in the draft. And we saw that a lot of that high end talent was taken early, and us taking Breece Hall in the second got us a really, really, really good running back. And now we have a 1-2 punch of Breece Hall and Michael Carter in that backfield coming in. And I think, look at what a lot of Jets fans are out there thinking. I think Breece Hall is the starting running back coming into this room immediately. And I think we're going to see a split of about 60-40. You're going to look at it and you're going to say, I think if we're running the ball, let's say 30 times a game, you're going to see anywhere from 16 to 18 carries out of Breece Hall, and you're going to see anywhere from 12 to 14 carries out of Michael Carter. And I think that they complement each other's games really, really well. And I think by having a rotation of that, and then you look at it, you still have Tevin Coleman, you still have Ty Johnson, you still have LaMichael Pirine. We brought in that undrafted free agent kid, Bam, I think it's McKnight. So we have depth at the running back position now for the first time in a long time. And at the top of the second round, we took the best running back in this running back class. Like, on a lot of people's boards, it was either between Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker. And I don't see how people can argue Kenneth Walker when, like, all Kenneth Walker did was run. And yeah, he did great things at Michigan for Michigan State. And it was like, oh my God, look at that. But like, Breece Hall ran the ball, and he caught the ball, and he did everything for Iowa State, and he had a bunch of touches. And for a lot of those people that are like, yeah, why are we going to draft a guy that has so many touches coming in and out of college? Guys, like, with running backs, we're not drafting running backs anymore. The league has devalued running backs so much that we're not drafting running backs for the next 8-10 years. You know, we're not going to see the days of running backs really getting second and third contracts in these schemes, especially in our scheme. I would not be surprised if the Jets draft a running back every year. I don't think it's going to be as high as the second round every year. But when you have the opportunity to get a talent like Breece Hall and have control for him for the next 4 years and an additional 2 years if you decide to use the franchise tag on him, to have control of a running back for 6 years and then be able to go clean break, clean slate, and be able to draft another one, I think that's something that's very, very like the Jets. Michael Carter coming into this system, when he hits free agency, I think he's going to get tendered because I think he becomes an RFA. I think he's going to get, I think it's a second round tender is what he gets. I think he's going to get offered that. I think he's going to sign it, and I think he's going to get an extension, but I think it's going to be kind of like a Braxton Berrios kind of extension. And then when it's time to pay Breece Hall his big money, if it's time to ever pay Breece Hall his big money, running back contracts aren't going to be that great and aren't going to be that rich. And so we can either just go into that draft and draft the next running back, and hopefully we'll be picking high enough so that we can pull a Pittsburgh Steelers like last year and really late in the first round get a running back, or, you know, not have so many needs on our team that we can trade back into the second, in the top of the second, or trade out of the first to the top of the second to get our running back. So I don't think that this is a bad pick here in the second round. I actually really like this pick the more I think about it, because ultimately it's about surrounding Zach Wilson with as much talent as possible, with as many pieces as possible. And now we can run 12 and 22 personnel all day and have insane weapons on that. And speaking of 12 and 22 personnel, we had to wait a long time between the 36th pick and the 101st overall pick. And it was a couple of hours later, and then we took Jeremy Ruckert, tight end out of Ohio State. Now, for me, Jeremy Ruckert was my tight end 2 in this class behind only Trey McBride. But if you listen to a lot of people out there, Jeremy Ruckert was the number 1 tight end in this class for a lot of people. Jeremy Ruckert was ranked number 1 on Phil Sims's tight end ranking board. And I really like Phil Simms because I don't think he's doing the things for the clicks. I don't believe that narrative. I think he legitimately wants to be a general manager in the NFL someday. I think he legitimately wants to be a scout in the NFL someday, and he's just going about it a little bit differently. He's scouting for television, and if he keeps hitting on these draft picks, and if he keeps his rankings keep kind of working out relatively well, because his quarterback rankings are pretty good, and stuff like that. If he keeps panning out to being right, watch out. You might see him working in the front office of some building in the future. And we've gone through day 1 and day 2 at this point, walking away with our cornerback 1 of the future, our wide receiver, I think 2 of the future, because I like Elijah Moore a lot. But let's be real, he's probably wide receiver 1 on this team. A new edge rusher that's going to be the face of that defense for a long time coming in Jermaine Johnson. The best running back in the class in the second round in Breece Hall, who's going to light it up with Michael Carter in that backfield as well. Arguably the best tight end in the class in the third round in Jeremy Ruckert. And come on, how do you not take the Long Island kid who's a Jet fan? Like, everybody's seen the picture of his dad freaking out, I'm not going to lie, right? So, like, my baby shower was yesterday. I have a kid that's on the way, and it's my son, and it brought me to tears a little bit, thinking about, like, how happy he was for his son and, the dream. Like, the dream is to play for your favorite team. I knew I ran around when I was a little kid in a Chad Pennington jersey saying that I was going to be the next great quarterback of the New York Jets, and it's just like Ruckert gets to live that dream. He gets to go out there and line up, and I think that in a year, he's going to be our tight end too. I think in a year, he's going to be able to sit behind Conklin and develop. And I think you're going to see our tight ends 1 and 2 next year be Uzama and Ruckert. I'm not trying to disrespect Conklin. I hope that Conklin wins the tight end 1 job. But like, Uzama's that inline blocking tight end. Conklin is that go up field and he's got hands kind of tight end. And Jeremy Ruckert, I think he can do both. I think he's got great hands, and he just wasn't a target there at Ohio State, because when you go to Ohio State and you have to deal with the fact that at one point in time there were 4 first-round wide receivers ahead of you. Last year, like 2 years ago, in that wide receiver room was Garrett Wilson, who went number 10 overall in this class, Chris Olave, who went number 11 overall in this class, Jamison Williams, who went number 12 overall in this class, and Smith Njigba, I think is how you pronounce his last name, who's going to be a top 10 wide receiver pick in next year's class. It's a stacked wide receiver room in Ohio State. What do you expect? Of course he's not going to be a primary target there, but watch the Justin Field years. The Justin Field year, Jeremy Ruckert was Fields' best security blanket. If he ever needed to dump the ball out because one of those 3 guys didn't work out, boom, he could dump it to Ruckert. He was always open. And I think the best thing is that in the run game, he was a willing blocker. And then we go into day 3. We have 2 more picks. I would have swore that we would have traded out of one of those picks. And for me, I wanted one guy. I wanted us to get one guy at 111 and one guy only. And I think me and Joe Douglas are connected mentally or something, or he was watching the NFL Chaos with Jeremy stream the night before, because I said the one tackle prospect that is not on everybody's boards, and he absolutely should be, is Max Mitchell. And I felt vindicated, one, when Brett Coleman released his video talking about Max Mitchell as a potential starter and as a guy with a lot of upside, but 2, when Joe Douglas made that pick, because I pounded on the table and I was talking about, if we're not taking a tackle early, I want us to get Max Mitchell out of Louisiana. Because for me, I love him as a swing tackle. He reminds me of George Fant in all of the good ways. because he can play both on the left and the right side. And I just see so much potential with this kid. And he's a Senior Bowl pick. He was on our staff. And I think that you bring him in, and I think he can really bring it and compete at that right tackle spot. And I said this early, and I said this a lot, which was, if Max Mitchell is the pick, watch out, because by week 10, he might take one of these starting tackles jobs. You give him a little bit to really develop his hands and his leverage. And with our coaching staff, and I believe in our coaching staff, if he can fix his hands and his leverage, because he's got a really, really strong punch, but he leans over his toes a little bit much, so he'll get caught in like this. We all seen the video of the Jermaine Johnson hitting him with the spin move. It's because he put a lot of his weight in front of his toes. You see, if he can fix some of these things, which are easy problems to fix, especially at the next level with like the coaching staffs and the time and the competition that he's going to face, watch out, because we've got a future line of some insane depth, because now we've got a guy which we like that can play both tackles. He's played left guard. I'm assuming he'll be able to play right guard if he's playing right tackle. You know, great value. And then comes 117, and I was surprised. It goes, hey, the pick is in. And I was not expecting this at all. And we took Michael Clemons, edge out of Texas A&M. Now, let me start by saying that at the beginning, I was very confused about this pick. Who's this guy? I didn't scout this guy. I didn't think we were going to be taking an edge this far down. And after watching his tape and after doing some research, there are some character concerns. I'm not going to spill any dirty laundry or anything here. If you want to find out what it is, you can Google it yourself. You can find that out yourself. That's not my place to speak on those things. I don't know those things, and I'm not a reporter, so I'm not going to report on those things. You can find that on your own. But the first thing that Joe Douglas said was, hey, we're not worried about those concerns. We've built up a system here, and we believe that he can come in and he can do that. A lot of people had him as a day 2 guy, a really high day 2 guy, and to be able to get him here in day 3 was a benefit to us because he has these character concern questions, and I don't think that they're going to be questions in our system. And I want to talk about saying that I kind of agree with Joe Douglas here. We've spent years building a culture here in the New York Jets, bringing in very committed, dedicated, strong-willed men into this team to be a guiding force for the youngsters that come into this draft, come in through the draft. And I think that one of the things that you can look at is we can take a player like Michael Clemons, someone who has had a storied past but has incredible upside. If you watch any tape of him at Texas A&M, and I did, man, this guy plays with a violence. And when I mean violence, I don't mean like in the metaphorical sense of like he plays hard and fast. No. I mean, he plays with violence. He wants to murder people out there on that field. You know what I mean? The thing that you want, like you know when you see TJ Watt coming off of the edge and it's like he doesn't care what's in front of him. He just wants to kill the quarterback. That's what I mean. He plays with this just violence and aggression, and he just wants to get to the quarterback more than anything in his and adding that to the depth and the rotation of this edge room gives us such a deep edge class. And I think we've got a support system here in the New York Jets that we can really take a kid like this and kind of turn his life around. Not that he needs it. I hope that he's fixed his life and that he regrets some of those decisions that he's making, and that he would want a lot of those back, because I know a lot of people would. But I think that we've got a support system here. We've got really strong-willed and powerful and dedicated and kind and honest men on this team, and they can help turn these kids that are coming out of college into those same types of men and carry the baton forward to next generations in the draft. So guys, I love our draft, and overall, I'd have to give it an A+. And it's weird because tomorrow is going to be Monday, and in the national media, we're going to see for the first time ever the Jets being praised for winning the draft. Jake Asman showed a chart that he made or that he found of all of the national media, like websites, ESPN, and all of these places, and all of the grades that the teams were given. The Jets were the only team in the NFL that by every single one of those media outlets was given an A. Some version of an A. A-, A+, an A. The only team. Somebody gave the Ravens a B- or a B+, which I thought was weird. I think that they were the only other real big winners of the drafts were the Ravens. They knocked it out of the park, and they got some great value picks. Linderbaum at 25 to me was insane value. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of this draft, man. I'm just so excited for the future and this Jets team and honestly what we're going to do. And it's like, I know the draft just ended, but like I am so ready for OTAs, for mini camp, for training camp, for rookie camp. Like give me all of the camps. Just give me tape of these guys playing football. I cannot wait to see Sauce and Wilson go at it one-on-one because again, I just can't wait to see that. I can't wait to see Jermaine Johnson versus Mekhi Becton and like Carl Lawson versus Mekhi Becton, George Fant and all these guys and like Jeremy Ruckert in that run game and in the passing game and Breece Hall just exploding up through the tackles. And it's just, man, we got a lot of good pieces here in the Jets and expect us to address free agency now with new players. And I'm going to make a video about that later, about who I think we should address in free agency. But like really quickly, like Honey Badger is still out there. Quan Alexander is still out there. I wouldn't be that worried about the fact that maybe we didn't address the safety in the linebacker room. I just think it goes to show that this team really believes in our safety room and really believes in our linebacker room, even though they're really young. And so that's really it. Let me know what you guys think. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It really does help the channel. Trying to build something nice here. And last but not least, go Jets.